We were talking about the future of Paul Pogba, but what about this man? Could he be heading across London?
Ball back to Hudson-Odoi in the area, and Tammy Abraham taps in from on the goal line, and it's another landmark day for Tammy Abraham. A hat-trick here at Stamford Bridge.
So according to today's Sun, Chelsea could let Tammy Abraham join Arsenal on loan to speed through a deal. Now, the Gunners lead West Ham and Tottenham in a three-way fight for the out-of-favour striker. Chelsea want around £40 million, but the fee is proving to be a sticking point. So a loan deal with then an obligation to buy, hence speeding through the deal, is one that could be reached as a sort of prerequisite, I suppose. And the amount of appearances looks to be a part of it as well, with the ideal compromise that's been suggested, as I say, in the paper today. Tammy Abraham, Cass, we were talking about him yesterday, and Carlton Cole was saying for Tammy Abraham, he needs to leave Chelsea because he's been there too long. He needs to move on now and sort of become the main man somewhere else. Jamie O'Hara sort of looked at it a little bit differently, was suggesting actually, you know, this is Chelsea. This is a Chelsea side that won the Champions League, who, you know, are competing for so many different trophies in comparison to West Ham in terms of, you know, that Champions League as an extra bonus and the Premier League title. Where would you stand on Tammy Abraham? Should he stick or should he?
He's got to play football now. He's got to play football. He's 23 years old now. Chelsea have got this conveyor belt of players like Hudson-Odoi. They've had, obviously, Loftus-Cheek, players that. We've seen Gilmour go out on loan. To break through into that team, who are full of internationals in every position and probably doubled in every position of internationals, like two right-backs, two central midfielders, it's a very hard... Look, he made the England team, you know, being a Chelsea player. You know, he's only got 6 appearances, and he played second fiddle to Kane. But I do think Tammy has to move. I was lucky enough. I mean, lots of talk of him where he played. I saw him a lot at Bristol City, and I came away and I remember he scored a lot of goals for them. And he scored a lot of goals in the 6-yard box. So he gets predator-type goals. And I think Tammy is a player that a lot of clubs will want, whether it's a loan deal, whether it's I'm pretty sure Chelsea, if they were looking to do a big deal elsewhere, go and buy a top number 9, that they would probably want to get a deal of closer to 40-50 million for him, which might be a big ask in the present climate. But Tammy's got to play. I think it's a big issue if you just sit it out. You know, he's ended up going down the pecking order. He started the season really well. He got quite a number of goals. Timo Werner comes in. Giroud takes his spot, ends up becoming more likely to play than him. And I think Tammy's just gone down. He wasn't even in some of the squads towards the end of the season, was he? So it's obvious that Tuchel isn't going to have him part of his plans, or certainly in his first 11.
But Giroud has left, so there is an opening.
But I don't think it does for Tammy.
No.
I think if a manager doesn't see you, why would he not have Giroud, him being in front of Giroud, in front of him? If you're looking at a 34-year-old who's leading the line centre forward, and he's in front of you for Tammy, that wouldn't have been the case. Tuchel would have had Tammy in front of Giroud and said to Giroud, you can go. I think it's more of a case that he's not going to make it into the first 11 and he'll be very fortunate to be a sub. And that in itself, you can get disillusioned. He's played quite a lot of football now, Tammy, to be just left aside again. I think he could get disinoriented or disillusioned with his career if he just stays at Chelsea. I think he has to go and find a move. In some ways, you'd want him to say a permanent move I would prefer, because I want to start again, kickstart my career again.
You mentioned that loan spell at Bristol City, 23 goals in 40 league appearances.
Saw a lot of him there, Nat. Done brilliant.
Swansea, the spell wasn't as great for him, and I'm sure he will have.
I'll give it to you. I thought Clement's style there was very, very defensive-minded. Very much not creating too much and not very good for a leading line sent forward. He could have gone to Brighton. He had the choice of Swansea and Brighton. I think he made the wrong choice. I think he should have gone there.
Well, he did then go to Aston Villa after that, and it was quite profitable. Good, 25 goals and 37 appearances. My point that I'm really going with, talking about the clubs that he's been on loan at, and you say, maybe he needs to go out on loan again. Does it come to a point when you have to decide, I have to cut my ties now with Chelsea, I can't keep doing loan spells? I do, as Carlton Cole was saying, actually need to become the main man somewhere and be somewhere for a length of time.
Absolutely. That gives you pleasure. Being wanted. We talked about this before about players, be wanted at a football club is very important. And I look at Tammy and think the time is now to go and establish yourself somewhere where a club's going to really utilise you in the best way they can. I don't see him staying at Chelsea now. I think that's gone way beyond. They're European champions. Look, think about Calvert-Lewin at Everton has gone in front of him. Ollie Watkins gone in front of him. So he's fallen down in the pecking order for England. He wasn't even close to being called up. So he's drifted down the pecking order quite quickly from not playing.
And as we were saying, Arsenal, one of the clubs leading the chase to sign him, if you believe what the reports are suggesting. Is Arsenal a team you can see him fitting in at? Is he a player that should be playing for a top 6? Top 8 side, top 9, whatever you want to refer to them as.
Arsenal fans would be they're never that keen on taking Chelsea players that like Willian. Okay, it's a different age, just a different type of player, but also at the wrong end of his career. They don't get excited by that. I think Tammy give them a physical presence and leads the line well and will chip in with goals. And I think if you can keep Lacazette and Aubameyang, you're going to get 3 players who get goals regularly in whatever capacity, whatever way you want to use them, and you can have that presence and build in the team. Look, I heard Carlton speaking yesterday about his hold-up play. It has to improve. I think if it does, now you've got a much more complete player.
So Tammy Abraham linked with Arsenal, as is Jordan Henderson.
Yeah,
now, I know this is a club close to your heart when we're talking about Liverpool. Now, the reports yesterday were saying that contract talks have stalled. They had begun discussions before the Euros. They couldn't come to an agreement then. And obviously things haven't progressed any further because Henderson's away on holiday. But then again, his representatives may still be around and maybe working on something. Jordan Henderson leaving Liverpool, is that a concern for you?
Yes, because I like him. I love his attitude and I think he inspires and lifts people around him. I don't know that. I'm not in his dressing room, but from what I've heard, and Noel Quinn spoke to me about him when he was Sunderland chairman, about Jordan many, many years ago, and he said one thing he'll always do is prove his worth. You might not think he's the best midfielder in the world, but he will improve, and his desire and attitude in training is exemplary, and spoke very, very highly of him and said Jordan will become a far better player in years to come, and he was and has done that. And I think it's a big loss when you lose someone in a dressing room. If he was to move of that calibre, it's very, very hard to get that again. That's why they kept Milner. I've spoken to you at length many times now at the weekend about players with great attitudes.
Yeah.
Experienced, who are fantastic at driving the younger lads. And I think that's why clubs will always take on somebody like Jordan Henderson, because they lift people in dressing rooms. And I like that. And apart from being a very, very good footballer, I do feel that he adds something to a football club. He goes there, or, he came to Liverpool. He was always being second fiddle to Gerrard. And he didn't even have a problem with that. But I tell you what, he become a far better player over the years. And he'll never be as good as Steven Gerrard. But with attitude and desire and his motivation to be as good as he can be, it's infectious for Jordan around the football club.
Well, he does still have 2 years left on his contract, but obviously Liverpool have begun discussions, not only with Jordan Henderson, but a number of other players who are in a similar situation.
Well, they've lost Van Aldrum, which was a big loss.
Yes,
Nat.
absolutely.
That's a big loss for me. You don't want to. That story just doesn't add up to me. I think Klopp would do his utmost to keep him again because
you're right to mention Wijnaldum, because Klopp was devastated in a way to lose him on a free as well. They would certainly not want that to happen with Jordan Henderson and other players who I say are going through these contract negotiations that have begun at the club. It's one to monitor, though, that's for sure, and we will be doing that throughout this transfer window.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.